Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the North End City Council meeting for February 18th, 2025. I'd like to call to order, and City Clerk, would you like to call roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Mark Jocelyn,
Present.
Councilmember Brendan Elwood,
Present.
Councilmember Alan Gotthell,
Here.
Councilmember Heather Cullen,
Here.
Councilmember Christina Rustic,
Here.
Councilmember Susan Torgerson,
Here.
Councilmember Errol Tremolata.
Here.
All are present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Would Councilmember Torgerson like to lead us in the flag salute tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for being in front of us tonight and online. We welcome you at all times, this council, and I always will. We will now move on to a consent agenda. We have 3 items on our consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Gotthell and seconded by Ms. Torgerson. All in favor?
Aye.
It's a rousing aye. And any opposed? No. Okay, the motion carries it as unanimous. Before we move on to citizen comments, as indicated on tonight's agenda, if you are attending remotely and would like to submit comment, public comment, in other words, please submit your written comments via person, drop off mail, fax to S. Opedal at northendwa.gov by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting. We are no longer taking public comments for those attending remotely via Zoom unless they have reached out to the city clerk in advance of the meeting to request accommodations. We will now move on to citizen comments. At this time, if you would like to comment on an item that's not on our agenda tonight, we would invite you to come forward to the podium at this time. If you've requested accommodation, you're so eager and I love it that you're here. One more moment, Mike. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak during city comments, please raise your hand through the virtual platform and we'll take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak for the record. And welcome again.
Hi, my name is Mike Chambliss. I actually live in North Bend. For those of you who don't know, I'm the city administrator for the city of Snoqualmie. As you're aware, we placed Police Chief Lynch on administrative leave, and the city has brought in an outside investigator to conduct an independent investigation. The investigation will take several weeks. To preserve the integrity of the investigation and to provide Chief Lynch with a fair process, we will not be providing additional updates about this matter until it is appropriate to do so. Captain Gary Haracy is serving as acting police chief. We are confident that Captain Haracy and the Snoqualmie Police Department will continue to provide the residents of both North Bend and Snoqualmie the excellent service that they've come to expect and they deserve. I would also like to welcome Mayor Ross for some comments about the contract negotiations.
Good evening, Mayor Miller and Council. I am Catherine Ross, Mayor Snoqualmie. So we are proud of the exceptional level of public safety that the Snoqualmie Police Department has provided to both North Bend and Snoqualmie residents for over a decade. The 2023 City of North Bend Community Survey highlighted an impressive 74% satisfaction rating for the quality of our police services, and that is something that we are very proud of. Our top priority is coming to an agreement that is fair to the taxpayers of both cities and reflects the level of service required to keep our growing communities safe. We're encouraged by the progress so far this year, including the contract amendment passed by both of our city councils. We look forward to continuing our conversations as we firmly believe there's a path to achieving a long-term agreement that is not only fair to taxpayers, but also ensures our communities receive the high level of services that they deserve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you both so much. Anybody else? Thank you, Simone.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Simone Grayling. I live on Southeast 60th Street, North Bend, Tannerwood. I'm here tonight to speak about the contract negotiations with Snoqualmie Police Department. I think the transparency and honesty from both our mayors have been lacking in regard to an investigation that has already been done and completed. about an officer who spent many nights with me in dark parking lots. And I hate to say it like that, but that's the honest truth. And he would go home and sleep instead of being on patrol. This was during a time where the cables were stolen on the 202. It took months for them to catch those people. But there's so much more to my story and what is really going on. And I think that continuing a contract with Snoqualmie needs to be considered, not very lightly, because Mayor Ross is not honest or transparent with any of you guys about what has really been happening. And she's well aware of the stuff that the Snoqualmie police have been doing to me. And I think that's something that you guys should really push forward, is that she starts to be honest about what's happening. After this meeting tonight, I will send over a lot of stuff, evidence to all of you city council members. And I think it's time that you guys get to see before continuing a agreement with Snoqualmie Police or City of Snoqualmie. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anybody online?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Bree. Okay, we will move on to announcements, presentations, and appointments. Item number 4, Proclamation Twin Peaks Day. Happy to do that. Let the excitement begin. Whereas the television show Twin Peaks, created by Mark Frost and David Lynch, debuted in 1990 and changed television forever by breaking new ground and inspiring numerous other television shows. And whereas Twin Peaks returned to television again in 2017, challenging viewers anew and garnering awards and critical acclaim. And whereas Twin Peaks captivated television viewers worldwide with scenes filmed in North Bend and the Snoqualmie Valley that emphasize the natural beauty and history of our region. And whereas Twin Peaks has drawn tourists year-round to North Bend, the Snoqualmie Valley, and the greater Seattle area for more than 30 years. And whereas Twin Peaks has placed many North Bend and Snoqualmie Valley locations, landmarks, and businesses into popular culture, not limited to Tweets Cafe, Snoqualmie Falls, Mount Si, Alali State Park, the Salish Lodge and Spa, the Snoqualmie Lumber Mill and Dirtfish Rally School, Volition Brewing, E.J. Roberts Park, and the Mount Si Motel, the Roadhouse Restaurant and Inn, and the Centennial Log and Riding Road. And whereas February 24th is celebrated by Twin Peaks fans worldwide as the day when the character of FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper arrived in the town of Twin Peaks. And whereas David Keith Lynch, director and Eagle Scout born in Missoula, Montana, passed away on January 15th, 2025, leaving behind an artistic legacy including 10 motion pictures, 3 books, 7 albums of music, numerous short films, music videos, commercials, paintings, and nearly 50 hours of stories set in the world of Twin Peaks. And now, therefore, I, Mary Miller, Mayor, do hereby proclaim Monday, February 24th, 2025 as Twin Peaks Day in the city of North Bend, and call upon all citizens to join in the celebration throughout the Snoqualmie Valley with donuts, cherry pie, and a darn fine cup of coffee. Okay.
I don't need to unless you want to. Okay, all right. But you all still have to spin. Thank you, Mayor Miller, and thank you, North Bend City Council. This is year 8 that we've done a Twin Peaks Day proclamation with the city of North Bend, and it's been a wonderful partnership. We can see the visibility that it brings to the city and to the Snoqualmie Valley. We don't know the exact tourist counts, but we've seen some hotel room numbers for the Snoqualmie Inn that just tell us how many people are coming. And it's wonderful to have this bit of visibility to encourage tourists to come year round. And it just sort of seems to get more, it seems to self-perpetuate, and seems like the tourist traffic is increasing every time the cities do this. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Anybody have questions for Snake? Nope, get your tickets. I'll come up.
I have a question.
Okay.
Can I get a shirt and be part of your group?
Talk to-
VIP tickets are sold out. I'll share mine.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd be thrilled. I'm going to present my best side.
Take it.
Don't trip. Famous last words. Backup camera.
Okay, thank you, everybody, again. Twin Peaks weekend is always fun. Real Twin Peaks is always an adventure for me. I love it. Okay, we're going to move on to commission and committee reports. Brendan, Community and Economic Development, would you like to start us off tonight?
Certainly. Thank you, Your Honor.
Pleasure.
We met this afternoon in the adjournment room. Had a few items on our agenda. We discussed an annexation petition for the Shamrock Park area. We discussed ADU amendments, including non-conforming use and amendments for ADUs in the DC zone. And just a heads up to council, this will be coming hard and fast. State mandates require that we have certain things done by June. So staff has organized a really good schedule. So things will be coming to us. Please read them so that we're up to speed. So when it comes back to council, we'll have all of our questions addressed. So there's that one. Then we had some other discussions. We discussed affordable housing analysis, and we also had an update on 230 Main. Our next meeting is March 18th. I wrote 2024, but that was last year. So 2025 next month in the adjournment room at 4 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Ellen, Finance and Administration. You don't mind.
Thank you, Your Honor. Finance Administration did not meet this month, and we will pick things back up on March 11th.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rustic, I think you're online for Public Health and Safety. Would you like to comment about your meetings this month? If you're with us.
Your Honor,
Oh.
Councilmember Rustic has dropped off momentarily. We're awaiting her to get back on.
Okay, I'll come back.
Thank you.
We'll check back in. Okay, we're going to bounce to Ms. Colon, Transportation Public Works.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we met on January 28th from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the adjournment room. We had a full thing of 14 items. We talked about providing public works overview to the newly formed TPW committee. We talked about providing Public Works Department 2024 accomplishments, provide Public Works Department 2025 goals. We talked about an update on Taylor Park Gateway Capital Project Parks. We made a motion approving contract with Clearview Tree Services. There was a resolution approving a closeout of the 2024 rectangular rapid flashing beacons, and it was a housekeeping item. We talked about approving a closeout of the 2024 sidewalk gap. We talked about approving a closeout of the 2024 pavement overlay project. We talked about approving engineering services contract with PH Consulting for the Park Street, Main Avenue and intersection improvements. We talked about Quality Controls Corporation communications upgrade amendment for our water and our sewer. We talked about approving contract with QCC to provide support with Chris Coates' announced retirement on 3/1/2025 of water and sewer. Congratulations, Chris, on your retirement. We talked about a purchase of a man lift for our street lights and our flowers. We talked about accepting a TIB grant funding for the South Fork Avenue Extension Bypass Project and approving local match transportation. And lastly, we talked about a resolution accepting the TIB grant funding for the North Bend Way Tollgate Park entrance to Ryberry Creek Bridge Project and approving local match. And that's it, Your Honor.
you, Ms. Colon. Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Ross, on work study and retreat, which Carrie give us information.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, council met on the January 28th for a regularly scheduled work study. We discussed regional committee appointments and liaisons, and I just want to acknowledge and bring to folks' attention, of course, that beyond regular meetings and committee meetings of the city, we do engage in regional participation and outreach. Some of these engagements require appointment by the Sound Cities Association in particular, which folks should be aware of. It's a coalition of 38 cities who bring one voice to state legislative matters primarily. It excludes Seattle. It's 38 cities, 1 million people, one voice, I think is the general mantra, but Councilmember Torgerson has been honored by being selected to serve on the Law, Safety, and Justice Committee for SCA, and I thank you for that. Councilmember Tremolata is serving on the Public Issues Committee, which sets agendas regionally. And just, I'll go one more round on the Sound Cities Association. There's sort of a rule that you can't speak up in favor of something that would potentially be harmful to or be against the general sense of interests of other cities. So it's a dance, just to be clear. People don't always agree or see things the same way, but it's an effort to bring a voice to interests of shared concern for cities throughout King County. And it's a big deal. And again, it takes additional time, effort, energy, and commitment on the part of your serving council members here. And I just want to acknowledge that commitment and thank you for that. Similarly, the mayor is serving on the Flood Control District, a regional gathering of folks to try and make sure that we're paying attention, not just as a city, but regionally to the impact of flooding and so on. And similarly, we're represented on the Puget Sound Regional Committee by the mayor as well. Other folks are engaged in other commitments, and it's an annual moment to perhaps acknowledge and thank folks for their service. So part of our work study was to affirm those mayoral appointments to regional and also local city commissions, Park Commission, Planning Commission, and the Economic Development Commission. We then received a very informative presentation on emergency management for public officials. We have a role should things go south. And a couple of folks from King County came and presented great information for us to be aware of, and that's appreciated. City Council also met on Tuesday, February 11th for a day-long retreat. It's hard to be in conversation at council. I think it was very beneficial. It was facilitated by Michael Pendleton. I want to thank Lisa Escobar for making the arrangements and setting that all up. Topics that we discussed, fiscal sustainability strategy, all the effort going on by James Henderson and the economic development folks to try and promote commercial development and sustainable development in our town. We received an informative presentation from the King County Sheriff's Office on a proposal to provide police services to our city, which is a big issue facing us as a council. We also discussed our working relationships and agreements. It wasn't the first time we've had a retreat, and we revisited some of those working arrangements, including the no surprise rule, the committee appointment process, interest in filling the committee administrator position, which is at the moment being filled on an interim basis by Mr. Larson very aptly. And we also then talked about working relationships and for future work study topics. And the meeting was adjourned by 4:30. I also, not on the list, but wanted to acknowledge Mark Rigos, who this past week had 2 sessions where for a relatively small amount of money, folks were engaged to investigate the possibility of a tunnel for Highway 18 past Deep Creek to the south and to the west going forward. The planning to complete that section of Highway 18 is well into the future. And thinking outside the box, but folks in North Bend were heavily impacted, as are folks in Snoqualmie by Highway 18. And I just want to acknowledge that there were 2 meetings, one of which I attended, as did other council members, contemplating and putting some numbers and thinking around the possibility of moving forward with a tunnel as opposed to what's currently visioned. So I just wanted to acknowledge that effort. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Jocelyn. I see that Councilmember Rustick's online, so I'm gonna, Christina, if you're there. Hi, Christina, I see you're smiling. You look happy. She's
Are you
always
able to
good.
unmute, Chris?
there
There,
she is.
unmuted. Sorry, I'm having technology
worries.
problems. Okay. Yes, for public health and safety, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. Yes, we met February 4th, 4 o'clock, where we had a presentation from Puget Sound Energy on updates on some of the electrical outages that they've had. We received a fire update from Eastside Fire and Rescue and a police update regarding staffing levels and their FEMA emergency planning courses that they have coming up. And then just some discussion on future topics. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Henderson for Planning, Parks and Economic Development Commission reports, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council members. The Planning Commission met on February 5 for amendments to the city's development regulations pertaining to accessory dwelling units, or otherwise known as ADUs. The amendments are provided for consistency with the new state law on ADUs passed by House Bill 1337. The commission held a public hearing on the amendments, and after the hearing, provided a recommendation of approval. The Planning Commission will next meet tomorrow evening, February 19th. At that meeting, Middle Fork Development LLC, the proponent for a development on the vacant property just north of the Travel Centers of America at exit 34, will provide a neighborhood public meeting to introduce their proposal for the Middle Fork Master Plan to guide the future development of the property. The neighborhood meeting is the first required component of the master plan process that applies to this property under requirements of the city's master plan regulations in North Bend Municipal Code, Chapter 13. At the meeting, the Planning Commission will also hold a public hearing for a proposed development agreement with PJO Northwest Development for a horizontal mixed-use project that proposes 65 townhomes on 8,000 square feet of commercial and 8,000 square feet of commercial space, building space along Southeast North Bend Way. The DAs proposed to allow the project to contain ground floor residential behind the commercial buildings that would front North Bend Way as ground floor residential, as it's not otherwise permitted within the neighborhood mixed use zone in which the proposal is located. The Parks Commission met last on January 22nd. At that meeting, they discussed scoping for a bicycle mobility plan that will be prepared in conjunction with the Parks Commission and the Economic Development Commission. They also reviewed and provided comments on the draft plans for the SR 202 shared use trail extension by the wastewater treatment plant and the pedestrian and utility bridge over the South Fork Snoqualmie River. The Parks Commission will next meet on February 26th to host 2 back-to-back workshops involving park and trail topics. The first workshop, starting at 6 p.m., will be an open house on the city's shoreline public access and trail plan, being prepared to plan for trail and access opportunities along the South Fork and Middle Fork of the Snoqualmie Rivers. The second workshop, starting at 7 p.m., will be an open house on the conceptual design of a new public plaza at the terminus of Ballarat Avenue between North Bend Bar and Grill and the Shell Station. And finally, the Economic Development Commission met on January 23rd and reviewed their 2025 work plan, which focused on enhancing the creative arts, improving connectivity to downtown, and working with the Parks Commission on a bike enhancement plan. Caitlin Hepworth, the city's associate planner, led the commission through a scoping exercise for the bike enhancement plan. The commission will meet on February 27th to discuss results of the bike mobility plan, select a date for a joint meeting with the Parks Commission about the plan, and begin the discussion of how to market North Bend for the upcoming 2026 World Cup. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Gottoff, would you like to let us know about East Side Fire and Rescue?
Thank you, Your Honor. East Side Fire and Rescue met the regular board meeting February 13th, 2025 at 4 p.m. We had a special recognition of retirement of Marty Benedict, chaplain. We had our annual elections for the chair and vice chair. Zach Hall of Issaquah was appointed the chair this year, and I was appointed vice chair for this year. During our basically regular business, we talked about the 2025 work plan, which to begin with was fully loaded. And as I go through this process, you'll understand it got it totally added to, and we'll have to look at some things as we go forward. We discussed the surplus of IT, surplus of an earthquake trailer. We discussed the brick grant, and finally got the PFAS agreed orders. The chief's briefing, which is the next part of that. During the chief's briefing, he discussed how incredibly proud we were of our personnel that went out to California to support that wildfire. They were immediately moved on to the Palisades fire line from the moment they got there. And we've gotten nothing but positive. In fact, I've got a bunch of really nice drawings from elementary school out there that got to meet some of those people while they're out there and sent them some really nice little drawings, which is kind of cool. We also welcomed aboard our newest chaplain, Anita Wallenda, and she's coming to us. She grew up in Bellevue and currently lives in North Bend. So another local resource here as one of the chaplains. We talked about the entry-level fire recruitment going on right now, and then the discussion of the recruit class and the 10 individual new hires that have come on board. In between that, as I said, we got we had an announcement and a letter that talked about that Chief Lane wrote a letter basically letting us know that he's going to retire. I'm going to read that to you. To my East Side Fire and the Rescue family, it is mixed emotions. I announce my retirement effective December 31st, 2025. This milestone will mark 31 years of career that he has given so much. This decision was not made lightly, and it comes from a place of deep respect and care for the department's future. Serving as fire chief was something I never envisioned for myself, but somehow doors of opportunity opened along the way with the unwavering support and encouragement of those around me. I was inspired to step through those doors, and for that I am grateful. Serving our communities has been an honor of a lifetime, offering opportunities and experience far beyond anything I could have imagined when my career began. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone in this department, past and present, who's inspired and challenged and supported my career throughout. I want to express the deepest gratitude to my family. Their patience, their love, and sacrifice have been a foundation that has allowed me to dedicate myself fully to this career, and I would have not been able to do it with them. I look to the future and fully vested in continued success of East Side Fire Rescue by providing this early retirement notice. I hope is a support the timeline necessary for the department to thoughtfully determine who serves as next fire chief. Let me be clear what the announcement is not. It's not a declaration of stepping back in any way. On contrary, I'm committed to finishing my career with the same energy, dedication, passion with which I began. I will work alongside with you, finish strong, and honoring the mission of excellence and service and dedication to community. I would also add, Chief Lane started out as a line officer and worked his way up to chief. So kind of an honor. He was one of the first that basically took over from the ranks. We have chosen as a board to look to begin a national search. We have evaluated a couple of recruiting agencies to work with, and we'll have hopefully an answer to the board at the next one to identify somebody to help us replace the chief. And we do have one internal candidate that will also be stepping up. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gottoff. Moving on to regional committee reports. Does anybody on council have anything to offer us tonight?
Meadowbrook Farm is currently looking for a new a new board member to be on the Meadowbrook Farm and Preservation Association. In this role, it would be one Monday a month from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And they're also looking for someone to take notes at the meetings. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? You can just come up.
Quick announcement, as I'm excited about it. There has been a date set, February 26th, for the next meeting of the Snoqualmie Valley Aquatics Collaborative in an effort to find a regional pool solution. So I will attend that and have a report back next month.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Nope. Okay.
but I need to pull it up.
Oh, no worries.
I'm unprepared.
We're fine. We have time. No pressure at all. No problem. Thank you so much. Okay, and tonight, let's see, we have interim chief Gary Haracy for Snoqualmie Police Department. Thanks, Gary.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Larson's council members, I just wanted to kind of give y'all an update on some things that are going on. Y'all also got a copy of our January monthly report. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have, but I'll hit some highlights on that. I'll start off with the good news. March 5th, I have an officer graduating from the academy. I sent an email out to all of y'all. Looking forward to that. He starts the road on the 11th on FTO. And I'm hoping to introduce him here on the 18th to y'all. So it's super exciting. That leaves us with one spot that I'm currently working on filling. We just got some of the background psych, polymedical, all that stuff back today. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll have another one coming on board. And he's coming to us from California as a lateral. So that's a good thing. Going to the report. We've got December of 2024 for North Bend. You can see there were 406 calls that we responded to. January of 2025, it went up a little bit to 416. But it is a drop from last year at 470 at the same time frame for the city of North Bend. Snoqualmie kind of followed the same trend. It was a little lower in December, increase in January of 25, and a decrease from 2024 of overall. Your priority responses. So you can see those where priority one are those calls with weapons offenses, domestic violence. Those calls, our response time was on average for the month was 2 minutes and 29 seconds to any of those priority calls in North Bend. 2 minutes and 54 seconds in Snoqualmie. And that was for January. December, it was a little different, which we reported on previously at 127 for Snoqualmie and 436 for North Bend. Priority 2 and priority 3 kind of stays on par. Priority 3s were a little higher for North Bend in January. We're at 6 minutes and 13 or 14 seconds. A lot of things contribute to that, whether drive, where the officers are, if they have to drive from like Truck Town over to the side of town, takes a little bit longer, but we also had some weather conditions that go into effect there. You can also see when we look at our stats down here for thefts, vehicle prowls, and vehicle thefts, overall, we're staying pretty consistent. There was a decrease from January of 24 to January of 25 across the board. Thefts went from 15 to 9 in the year, 6 to 3 for vehicle prowls, and there was 1 increase on the vehicle theft. So we're staying pretty good on those, but I do like seeing that decrease in the thefts and the vehicle prowls. So we also, when we look at the mental health professional portion, I'm going to skip down to the bottom because this one's a little bit on a sadder note. We had no contacts in January and we haven't had any for a few months because she was out for maternity leave. She came back in January and not last week, the week before was her last day. So we are currently going to be working on filling that mental health professional spot. She decided it was time to stay home with her newborn baby and be a mom, and none of us can fault her for that. So we are working diligently. They're going to they're going to be posting that position, and we'll start trying to find somebody to fill that position and bring that back in. In the meantime, we're utilizing our resources that she utilized. We have the same contacts throughout King County and other areas that we can utilize to help, fill that void. Whether that's the mobile crisis team, the Recovery Navigator program, or any other organization that can come out and respond when we need it. So again, that was one of the sad things that happened over the last couple of weeks, but it's a good thing for her and her family. Overall, we had 44 public records requests to the police department for both cities. Anything that comes into the police department, that's a year to date. That's obviously going to change as things progress. And then arrest, you'll see that the arrests are also down from 2024 to 2025 January, same time. In fact, they're in half for North Bend. I contribute that to our visibility. The guys being out mobile, being at the outlet mall, at our substation, and being very present and just being there for the community. One thing we added to this report for this particular report is a shift coverages. That was one thing that we were asked to add. And you'll see that there's 93 shift coverage. That's 1 day shift officer, 1 night shift officer, and then the sergeants through the contract are split. So that's a 50-50 split. So I have basically half and half. So I have a sergeant on at all times. And they go between both cities. So that's why you'll see the 93 shifts that are covered throughout the month of January. We're still working very diligently to be mobile. The guys are out, driving around, and, I've even heard stories that when they're out here making traffic stops, it's kind of the highlight of the day around here, because you get to look out these nice, beautiful windows and see cars getting, the guys out doing their job. So, but if y'all have any questions for me, I'm here to answer what I can.
I have a couple. I circled this, you actually hit on it. So the mental health professional, so it looks like we have the data twice on here though, right? So you were referencing the crisis intervention context, but then at the bottom, there's mental health professional context. How are those contexts different?
So one would be the contact she made. So she did some follow-up when she got back with individuals while she was here.
Okay. So the
So-
crisis ones would be something like.
Yeah, that was, so an officer would have contacted somebody and sent her a report saying, hey, this guy needs a little bit more, or this person needs, might need assistance getting, let's just say in a treatment program. So when she got back, she was following up
Okay.
on those, and she keeps her own caseload just like an officer does.
Okay, and then I probably should have asked this last month. On the priority calls, how do we differentiate 1 and 2, right? Because the way I read this, calls that require immediate response that could result in death if not responded to. Is a call that could result in death not like priority 1?
To be honest, I think that's some bad wording.
Okay.
No,
that's fair. That's fair. I just
as I look at that, I think that's a little bit on the bad wording side. But those calls might be something where typically it might be somebody who is in a controlled environment. Let's say we get a call to the hospital for somebody who is acting out where they might be suicidal, but they're with medical staff or things like that. That's just one example I can come up with where the response isn't necessarily going to be a priority 1, domestic violence or a gun pulled on somebody, things like that.
Okay.
Because it's a controlled environment.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for interim chief? Mr. Jesselin.
Is there any, I appreciate your time tonight. Any explanation for why the public records requests are lumped and not broken out by city like every other statistic?
No, but we can. It kind of comes in as, I don't see why we couldn't. It's just something that we handle together, and it's just something that the PD handles. I don't have any reason why we couldn't do it. If you'd like that, I could do that.
If it's that easy, then that would be great.
It shouldn't be that hard.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anybody, Ellen?
I got a question I kind of learned about today, and it might help both of us, is does the city of Snoqualmie charge for the public records requests?
There is a fee schedule for public records request. And depending on what the work is done, I can get more information on that and get it to y'all. I can have it at the next public safety meeting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you guys charge, because
Yeah.
that's something we need to look at going forward.
Thank you. Anybody else? No. Okay, thank you.
All right,
interim
thank
chief.
you.
Yeah. And thank you, council. Thank you, staff, for your updated monthly reports. Much appreciated. We're going to move on to introductions. Item number 5, AB 25-013, resolution accepting TIB grant for North Bend Way, Complete Streets Phase 1 project. Mr. Rios, would you like to fill us in on your staff report, please?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. It's a great night tonight for Public Works, a great night for the city, and a great night for taxpayers of our city. We received in a competitive process $1,002,000 for the Complete Streets grant. This has to do with North Bend Way, one of our projects in our 6-year TIP. We're eligible for this type of grant because we do complete a 6-year TIP every year. And that happens in June of each year. Thanks to City Council and our CED department, we had our comprehensive plan approved last fall. So that also gets us eligible. And finally, we have a good track record on completing these projects. So that helps our chances of getting these grants. This particular project would fund, this grant would fund design and construction. And this project could involve a protected pedestrian, bike and pedestrian walkway, landscaping, a gateway into the city, a reduction of 4 travel lanes down to 2 lanes, so some traffic calming there. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this? We have a fantastic grantsman in public works staff that we're knocking it out of the park on getting some of these grants. A question I occasionally receive from City Council is, hey, how much money do we have in our buckets of, obviously we can't use this $1 million grant for a police contract or a fire contract. We have to use it towards this project. And so for our transportation impact fee balance right now is about $7 million. And I think we're using about of the $220,000 required match, about $110,000 comes from the transportation impact fees. And then our transportation benefit district, that's a revenue we receive from sales tax. That's 0.2% of sales tax goes towards transportation. We're proposing to fund about $110,000 of that match from the TBD, Transportation Benefit District. And in that fund right now, the balance is about $3.5 million. So pretty small hits. This is an important project, and we're not going to fly into this project real fast. We're starting conversations with Skyview Metropolitan Park District because they operate and maintain the adjacent Tollgate Farm Park. So we want to make sure what we do is consistent with what they'd like to see as well. And so I look forward to designing this project with our team in 2025 and 2026, and possibly constructing something out there in 2027. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Regos. Anyone from council have any questions or comments to make? Okay. All right. If any members of the audience would like to comment on this agenda item, we would invite you to come to the podium at this time. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, please raise your hand through the virtual platform, and we'll take your in-person comments or your virtual comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak for the record. Anybody? All quiet.
Not online, Your Honor.
Thank you, Bree. Let's see. Councilmember Colon, will you please make that motion?
Yes, Your Honor. Motion to approve AB 25-013, a resolution accepting a Washington State Transportation Improvement Board grant in the amount of $1,02,519 and dedication of matching funds for the North Bend Way Complete Streets Phase 1 Transportation Capital Project.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Okay, second by Mr. Gautel, next time. Motion made by Ms. Colon and second again by Mr. Gautel. Okay, Ms. Colon, do you have any comments to make on your motion?
Matching grants are always great, and this project is extremely exciting for the Tollgate Farm, where they'll be adding parking spaces and walking spaces, and it'll just make going to Tollgate Farm a lot better for everyone.
Excellent. Any comments you'd like to make, Mr. Gautel?
No, I think she did a great job on it. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else wish to make a comment?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm just going to reinforce this is a return on investment of almost $5 for every $1. There's $1 million in grant funds being provided with $220,000 in city funds that are both from the Transportation Benefit District. And a clarifying question, Mr. Regos, I might have misheard the sales tax percentage that the city leverages for the TBD is 0.2%.
Yeah, it's about 0.2%.
There you go, 0.2%, not 2.2 or 20.2 or whatever numbers folks might have heard earlier, but 0.2%. Excellent work on the part of staff to continue to leverage these dollars in such a beneficial way to the city. Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody else wish to comment? Ms. Torgerson?
I just want to thank the whole team in Public Works, because this is awesome that we're going to be able to only spend $200,000 basically and receive $1 million. It's awesome. So I just think kudos to you guys. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. Okay, I guess we're set to go. Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 25-013, a resolution accepting a Washington State Transportation Improvement Board grant in the amount of, let me try this, $1,002,519,000 and dedication of matching funds for the North Bend Way Complete Streets Phase 1 Transportation Capital Project. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for that. We pass unanimously. Moving on to item number 6, AB 25-014, resolution accepting TIB grant for South Fork Avenue Extension and Starfish Roundabout projects. Mr. Regos, take us away here.
You got it. Thank you again. Similar similar agenda bill where we are committing matching funds to this project. This is a larger project. The South Fork Avenue extension, it has been in our 6-year TIP since for about 15 years, perhaps more. It's been here for my 11 years here. We've just never had the funding to do the project. It's a large project, almost a half-mile of brand new road, which terminates in a 5-leg starfish roundabout that we conceptually designed about 5-6 years ago or so. At this time, we are about 50% completed with the engineering design of the South Fork Avenue extension and the Starfish Roundabout. The design, we received a grant for that as well a couple of years ago. So we are getting close to appraising property that we need to purchase from Nintendo for this project. And so we have an appraiser involved, and we are working closely with Nintendo on this corridor. This is a hugely important project to our transportation grid. Our intersection that doesn't function as well as other intersections is as you all know, is North Bend Way and Bendigo Boulevard, and kind of that weekday PM peak traffic. So what this does is it creates a bypass to get to the outlet mall, to get to the high school, maybe the casino, maybe the parks, etc. So this will help our level of service in the city and allow people to move around a little more easily. This project is $4.24 million in grants, so that's huge. And the match is $2.8 million, which we're splitting with our transportation benefit district funds, which we just talked about, and also with our transportation impact fees. And so those are not paid for by our residents; those are paid for by developers as part of a housing development or a commercial development. So that's, I consider that other people's money as well. So I'm happy to take any questions on this. That concludes.
Thank you, Mr. Rigos. A lot going on for sure. Council, any clarifying questions for Mr. Rigos? No. Okay, Councilmember Colon, would you please make the motion?
Yes, Your Honor. Motion to approve AB 25-014, a resolution accepting a Washington State Transportation Improvement Board grant in the amount of $4,244,612 and dedication of matching funds for the South Fork Avenue Extension and Starfish Roundabout Transportation Capital Project.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's a little slow-mo there. Thank you very much. Motion made by Ms. Colon and second by Mr. Gottoff. Ms. Colon, do you have anything to say?
So this project has been on the Transportation and Public Works since I became a council member over 5 years ago. They've been very excited about it the entire time. I couldn't fully appreciate it or understand it at the time, but I do now, and I'm hopeful that it will ease traffic in our main arteries in town.
Wonderful. Mr. Gottoff.
Yeah, I'd just go ahead and add the same thing. I've been here for as long as this project's been on the TIP, and it's nice to see it move forward. It is really one of the key things we've tried to do for a while. So I'm happy that it's going forward and appreciate the effort of staff to find other people's money.
Wonderful. Anybody else from council? No? Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 25-1014, a resolution accepting a Washington State Transportation Improvement Board grant in the amount of $4,244,612 and dedication of matching funds for the South Fork Avenue Extension and Starfish Roundabout Transportation Capital Projects. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, okay. Okay. That sounded like a delayed favorable. And okay, here we're good. Thank you again. That motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have much tonight, except you already know about we're replacing the chief, and also it's still dark, and people are kind of running through a lot of the crosswalks. So what I've been seeing lately. So please watch out Kids, are out and about, and people trying to exercise, and as we start to see the weather warm a little, apparently we're gonna have some thawing at the end of the month, so we're gonna see more and more people out and about, so please watch carefully and drive safely so that everybody can get home safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Tremolata.
I'll just do some marketing for staff on a couple big events, 3 big events coming up. Pre-submittal public meeting on the 19th, tomorrow at 5:30 to review the proposed master plan for Middle Fork out at exit 34. And I know there were a number of folks interested with that on the east side. So there's an opportunity there to listen and understand what's going on potentially down there. And February 26th, let's see, we've got 2 open workshops, one on the North Bend Shoreline Access and Trail Plan, at 6 o'clock, followed by the Ballarat Plaza workshop, which I think everyone's excited about, at 7 p.m. So some opportunities for the public to come on in, understand the ideas, throw around some new ideas, engage, and give our thoughts to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Tremolata. Ms. Colon.
Nothing tonight.
Ms. Torgerson.
I just want to echo what Pro Tem Jocelyn said earlier about the tunnel meetings we had this last week. I mean, we're this little town up in the mountains and we have Mark Rigos and he's made this excellent plan. It's very exciting. There were people from so many areas around the Puget Sound that came and it was just really interesting and very exciting. And I feel very proud that we have Mark Rigos on our staff. I was thinking if this does go through, I think we should say we go on Rigo. We're going to name that tunnel after Rigos. That's all I have.
Very entertaining. Mr. Elwood.
That was awesome. Rigo on Rigo. Well, I'll give a little shout out to Rigo, a little bit smaller. Thank you for putting in the budget synopsis along with the packet, as well as the city map and then the site map. I know those are some of the things that the council has been asking for, and we see it in our first packet coming back from the retreat. I know we've seen them in the past, but I appreciate the listening and seeing that in. So thank you very much for that. The other thing I would say is we have some family fun adventure at Valley Center Stage and the Salal Grange. We're putting on a production of Treasure Island. Come check it out. Come in your best pirate garb. This last weekend was opening weekend, and it was great seeing all these little kids in their full pirate attire. So check it out. It's good. Again, it's two nonprofits in North Bend that give to the community, working together as one. So please check us out and support the performing arts in our valley, as well as the Grange as well. Other than that, thank you.
Mr. Elwood, Mr. Larson. I'm sorry. Christine, I am so sorry.
That's
You're on.
okay. I understand. I have nothing to add for tonight, but thank you very much.
Well, I'm sincerely apologetic. And Mark, yeah, of course.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna break the rules here, jump back in and just acknowledge the chili cook-off this past week. That was held here at City Hall, and I want to acknowledge, the staff creating those opportunities and moments for folks to be in relationships, beyond just their daily duties and showing up. City Hall was closed for an hour, such that staff could gather and engage in, community building, frankly. And in these times, I think that's really important. I was able to be present, and I just wanted to thank all those involved. And I'm sorry, Mark's chili didn't win.
He came close, though. I came in 4th this year. Yeah. Thanks, Mark, for that. Nice comments. Now, Mr. Larson.
I just want to mention that 4th place does not count. There wasn't a recognition, so. But also, it was really hot competition. There was. And one of your former council members brought 2 different types of chili. He got 2nd place, I believe. And the winner was none other than Jennifer. She had a really nice mix. So everybody enjoyed that. So a lot of fun. It was Ross Laudenbach, for those who are wondering. So, also just wanted to add that next Tuesday, a week from tonight, staff's working busily, primarily Lisa Escobar on getting things ready from the retreat. So we'll have good discussion ready for council that night to go back over some things, making sure that we're checking in and making sure everything's being covered that council went through last week. And I want to also thank council for attending. That was a big deal for staff also. And we really do appreciate you taking your time to do that. So that's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Brendan. This is the night. Have at it.
I just want to say, and I forgot to write it down, but I did want to thank Mayor Ross and their administrator for showing up on our soil to talk to us tonight. It's a rare occurrence. I don't think in my 9 years I've ever seen that. So I do appreciate the outreach that they gave us this evening. I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Appreciate that. Okay, the city is seeking applicants to fill vacancies on the Business and Economic Development Commission. More information about the commission and how to submit an application is available on the news section of the city website. Application deadline is February 28th. As Mr. Tremolata mentioned a little bit earlier, the Shoreline Public Access and Trail Plan Workshop is being held on February 26th from 6 to 7 p.m., followed by the Ballarat Plaza Workshop at 7 p.m. Both workshops are being held here at City Hall. I wanted to remind council that March 4th City Council meeting has been canceled. And like Mr. Brendan Elwood over there, I want to thank Mayor Ross and City Administrator Mike Chambliss for coming and joining us and speaking to our council. We really appreciate you stepping forward tonight and all who come in. And I guess with that, we're going to move into an executive session. We will recess the meeting for executive session to discuss potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I. The executive session is expected to last about 30 minutes. Well, hopefully, as there is no action anticipated as a result of the executive session. The videotaping of this meeting will stop at this time. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you.